Evening to everyone. So we are still continuing this series on the Unknowable Beginning, taking some suttas from the Samyutta Nikaya 15. The theme then was on the Qingming festival. So we are talking about the past lives, or we talk about how long is one eon, and how many eons are there, countless eons, and even one eon is already very countless. And within that rebirth, so many encounters, all of us were interdependent. We could be relatives to each other. So there's possibility. All beings had been our relatives before, parents and siblings and so on. So we've talked about that. So we are trying to finish this series hopefully by today, so that we can start the new set of series the following week, because next week there's no session. Okay, so we are continuing this series. So this sutta is called a stick. So I'll just read out the sutta. At Savatthi, mendicants, this transmigration has no known beginning. No first point is found of sentient beings roaming and transmigrating, shrouded by ignorance and fettered by craving. Suppose a stick was tossed up in the air. Sometimes it will fall on its bottom, sometimes the middle, sometimes the end. So in the previous few suttas we talk about there are so many eons, countless eons, so we do not even know when's the beginning. So talk about beginningless. So the Buddha is now giving another analogy, now talking about a stick and tossing like randomness. So if you throw a stick up, how it falls, it can be very random. So the next slide. It's the same for sentient beings roaming and transmigrating, shrouded by ignorance and fettered by craving. Sometimes they go from this world to another world, and sometimes they come from other world to this world. That means talking about if let's say we pass on, we may not come back to the human realm, we may go on to some other realm, that is the other world. And sometimes they come from the other world to this world, they might come from other realms to this realm. So it's not just about human to human compassion. So we also talk about, when we recite a precept, non-killing, right? So we also have compassion to other sentient beings, including the animals, the insects, any kind of non-human, because all of us, we could be other species also. Okay, why is that? This transmigration has no known beginning. This is quite enough for you to become disillusioned, dispassionate, and freed regarding all conditions. So this is the gist of the entire series, is to eventually practice disenchantment. Because we're around in samsara for so long already, but we are still enticed. We still crave for dramas and stories. We want to be reborn in another lifestyle, experiment or experience another kind of world, experience a different kind of lifestyle, livelihood, different timeline even. So one good example in meditation would be our stray thoughts. If we enjoy our stray thoughts, the story come up, another scenario, it could be the past, it could be a future, it can be some imaginary scenario. We enjoy being the character, we enjoy the story. That is already craving for becoming. So as long as we still enjoy that, the last moment also the same thing. We enjoy another kind of experience, so that will kind of fuel the rebirth. So what we are doing here is developing a kind of contentment, so that it can surpass these interesting stray thoughts. You overcome the sense of contentment, to overcome craving. So this is about rebirth. Okay, next. Alright, so now this is another sutta. It's called a sorry state. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Savatthi. Mendicants, this transmigration has no known beginning. No first point is found of sentient beings roaming and transmigrating, shrouded by ignorance and fettered by craving. When you see someone in a sorry state, in distress, you should conclude, in all this long time, we too have undergone the same thing. Why is that? This transmigration has no known beginning. This is quite enough for you to become disillusioned, dispassionate, and freed regarding all conditions. Okay, so there are two parts to this. So the first part is empathy. Empathy. So if we see somebody suffering, see somebody in distress, then we should empathize. We can think of, okay, we could have been in that situation before, or some people might have a lot of experience in this lifetime. Then you might think, oh, I have experienced what this person have gone through before. But if you have not experienced what that person have gone through before, then you can think, in the past life, or many past lives, I could have experienced that before. So that is the first part. It's more on developing empathy. So a lot of times people may think empathy is a guaranteed skill set, which is not true. Some people may not empathize. You could extend out not just to humans but also to other creatures struggling. Maybe the insect, the leg disappear or fall off or wing crush or whatever. So we can empathize. In the past, we have gone through the same thing. So that's just the first part. And if we overdo this thing only, it will lead to depression. You think of all the bad thing, the suffering and the distress. If we overdo it, it will lead to depression. So that is why we need the second part. You need to practice disillusionment, dispassionate, and disenchant from all these formations. So the second part is equally important. So the first part is on empathy, then the second part is real compassion. Real compassion is to take active action to get out from this distress. The conventional compassion we know is usually empathy. We feel sorry for this person, we worry for this person, how to help this person. So we worry and worry and worry, then become very depressing. And it's equivalent to the definition of suffering, sorrow, despair, and all those things. So we have all these emotions that describe the first noble truth. Sorrow, lamentation, despair, and all those. So what we're doing in compassion is actively apply the Noble Eightfold Path to free ourselves from suffering. So later on in the second half of this class, then we will give the guided meditation. So for those who have been joining, you'll know that when we practice the compassion meditation, the sublime states of compassion, or all the sublime states, we try not to visualize, or we try not to imagine any scenario. Once we go into the story mode, then it becomes the mini samsara. We kind of enjoy the story, then becomes developing this craving. So we try not to imagine any scenario. We're going to go back down to the lowest common denominator, the root source, which is a formation of the aggregates, or the formation of the elements. Once we detect any sensation, that is where we work on that, how to not cling on this moment to moment formation. So we are using that concept. Okay, next slide. Okay, then the last one, actually this is the last slide, very fast today, in a good way. So it's the opposite. I still have, okay. So at Savatthi, mendicants, this transmigration has no known beginning. When you see someone in a good way, in happy state, you should conclude, in all this long time, we too have undergone the same thing. Why is that? This transmigration has no known beginning. This is quite enough for you to become disillusioned, dispassionate, and freed regarding all conditions. So this is the opposite from the previous story. So this one would be more on appreciative joy, rejoicing. So when you see somebody happy, then you kind of feel for them also. We also have experienced this happiness before, so you also feel happy for them. So this is like appreciative joy. So it's not just your loved one, your close one, your friends. It's to all beings. So because all beings also go through samsara, rounds of transmigration many times, just like us. So we extend this boundless compassion or appreciative joy to all beings, not just your close ones only. Okay, and the second part of this would be for the wisdom also. You need to practice disenchantment, thinking of impermanence, to let go. So this one not too depressing, but if we over celebrate, there is a possibility of this thing called exhilaration. Exhilaration would be if we have attachment to a certain groups of people or teams or organization or countries that we are part of, and when they succeed we feel happy for them, or we party for them, we celebrate for them. So that is exhilaration. That there's a contamination of attachment. So what we are trying to practice here is a boundless rejoicing. So rejoice with all beings. Okay, so the second part is to think of impermanence, to have this disillusionment. Okay, next. Okay, then the next one is a single individual. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Rajagaha on the Vulture's Peak mountain. I think you're recycling the slides because they mention 12 out of 42. So actually the previous one was the last slide. You kind of brought forward the last few slides to the front. So I think we've covered that. Yeah, we covered all this before already. Yeah, so today's theory sharing is very fast. We kind of finished all the theory, so we talk about all the analogies, all the previous past suttas. So we kind of open the ground now to Q&A. Any questions you want to ask or share or comment, any reflections for this series, any insights? Nobody? I give a 3 count. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if there's no questions, we go for a 5-minute break. You can do your stretching, go to the toilet, then we come back for this guided meditation. So we see you later. So the first thing we're going to do is the impurities of the body meditation. Learn to let go of the body. So we're going to do a bit of visualization. So we first start to visualize all the hairs from head to toe. And when we start to think of the parts of the body, let's say the hairs, then there will be a tendency to if let's say the hairs are beautiful, then one may develop greed. Call this pleasant feeling, pleasant contact. And if let's say the hairs, you imagine it to be untidy, messy or ugly, and one might react with aversion, greed or anger. So these are the two extremes. So visualizing the hairs alone may not reduce craving. Any hairstylist also can visualize the hairs. So what we are doing is learning to walk the middle path. We're going to apply the right thought. Every time you visualize the hairs, you need to wish it well and happy. So this is to reduce first the aversion. And once you finish the sentence, then you quickly move on to a new patch of hair and then wish it well and happy. So the repetition of this is called right effort. The wishing of the hairs well and happy is part of right thoughts, and the visualization of the hairs is part of mindfulness of the body. So the whole idea is to never let the mind autopilot. Do not let it idle. When you start to do nothing, confirm, jump to stray thoughts, go into a sort of mini rebirth into the simulated samsaras. So if a person wants to get out of samsara, lots of effort. So we are now training this effort, right effort. Every moment, wish the hairs well and happy. And the more we wish the hairs well and happy, then we also see whether the mind gets calmer or more agitated. So thought by thought, we reduce the craving of aversion little by little. And if we do it correctly, the mind should be able to settle down. And there is like a maximum limit to the settling of the mind. And if you find that the mind is quite settled down to its limit, cannot settle any further, then we call this your neutral baseline emotion. So this is the minimum criteria for insight later. So this is still not yet samadhi, just a neutral state. So we need some neutral emotion for insight to be kind of more effective. And then we're going to switch to the insight portion. We're going to think that all these hairs go through birth, aging, sickness and death. So we think of the hairs going through this birth and death, many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, we also synchronize with the labeling, birth, aging, sickness, death. So we mentally recite birth, aging, sickness, death, and make sure the image also follow. So we try not to over dramatize, just stick to the birth, aging, sickness, death. Or if you want, you can use rising and passing. And if there's real detachment taking place, then there should be some joy appearing, symptom of detachment. And regardless of what you experience, keep on thinking of impermanence. And the more we keep on thinking of impermanence, we're actually trying to swim out of samsara. And once we stop thinking of impermanence, then all the stray thoughts come back, and all the attachment come back. The more you detach, the mind should appear less and less dense or tense. It becomes clearer and clearer, or lighter and lighter. And you can also correlate the sense of this selfishness or this ego is the intensity increasing or decreasing. And we can ask ourselves, are these hairs truly self? Can we tell the hairs not to go through birth and death? And next we can think of the nails, fingernails and toenails, and we wish them well and happy. So this is back to the samatha phase. And all these nails are subject to birth, aging, sickness, and death. So this is the insight phase. So we're going to think of the nails growing and falling, many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, we also mentally recite birth, aging, sickness, death, or we can use rising and passing. And we can ask ourselves, are these nails truly self? Can we tell the nails not to go through birth and death? And we now switch back to the samatha phase. We're going to think of the next part of the body, which is the teeth, all the teeth inside the mouth, and we're going to wish them well and happy. And all these teeth are subject to birth, aging, sickness, and death. So this is the inside portion, so we're going to think of all the teeth growing and falling, many cycles. Even though the teeth fall out the most twice, we just keep on repeating. And as we keep on looping this image, we also mentally recite birth, aging, sickness, death, or we can use rising and passing. Okay, then we can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? Can we tell the teeth not to go through birth and death? And the next part of the body, we can think of the skin that surround the whole body, and we wish them well and happy. And all the skin are subject to birth, aging, sickness and death. So we think of them growing and falling many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, we also mentally recite birth, aging, sickness, death, or rising and passing. And we can reflect and ask ourselves, are this skin truly self? Can we tell the skin not to go through birth and death? Okay, then we are moving on to the next phase of meditation. We are not going to visualize anymore. We're going to feel the 4 element sensations. So this is mindfulness of the body also. So the 4 elements are the earth, fire, wind and water elements. Earth represents any hard or soft sensations. Fire is hot and cold. Wind is the fast, slow movements. And the water is the moist or dry sensations. So we are going to just observe these sensations, how it appear naturally by themselves. Don't have to purposely create them, do not block them, do not fight them. So whatever appear, we are going to first also wish them well and happy. So every time sensation appear, wish them well and happy. So the same concept as the previous one. We are not training the hairs, the nails, teeth and skin. Likewise, we are not training the elements. We are making peace with the 5 aggregates. Okay, and the mind should be able to settle down to this neutral baseline emotion again. And we're going to remember this neutral state for your personal reference and comparison. So we call this the restricted form of loving kindness. So wishing oneself well and happy, not noble enough. So now we are going to cultivate boundless loving kindness. We are going to wish, may all beings in all directions, may they be well and happy. So all beings, all directions, above, below, and all across, may all beings be well and happy. So in that enlarged area of attention, we are going to perceive all beings as the four elements. Don't have to visualize how they look like. We're using a non-discrimination approach. So whatever sensation appear, we're going to use that to represent all beings. All beings also experience the four elements. So whatever sensation appear, we're going to wish, may all beings be well and happy. So make sure you can hear yourself in the mind reciting, may all beings be well and happy. Is to pull your mind away from the drama shows. Okay, and if you are following, if you keep on wishing, may all beings be well and happy, you have the right thought, right effort, everything, then it will trigger the right concentration. So usually, loving kindness may lead one to the first level of concentration. So if there's any increment in joy, happiness, or peace, and that would be the indicator compared to the neutral baseline emotion from earlier. And regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing, may all beings be well and happy. Keep planting the causes, keep turning the Dhamma wheel. Okay, then we move on to the insight portion. We are going to reflect how to cultivate a more detached kind of loving kindness. So every moment any sensation appear, we are going to mentally recite rising and passing. So all beings go through this birth and death, rising and passing, many cycles. So we just use the elements as a representation. And the joy of detachment start to disappear, and one may experience a strong neutral emotion, not the normal baseline neutral from previously, so a bit more stronger. So we call that equanimity. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reciting, rising and passing. Okay, and the next sublime state we are going to switch to is compassion. So for compassion, we are going to wish, may all beings be free from suffering. So using the non-discrimination approach, we are not going to imagine any scenario, any element appear. We are going to wish, may all beings be free from suffering. So try not to go into any story mode, any mini simulated samsaras. So we keep on sticking to the 4 elements. Okay, and the same thing, the conditions are right to keep on wishing, may all beings be free from suffering, and this compassion may lead one to the second level of concentration, indicated by some joy and happiness. So the conventional compassion will be very sorrowful, very sad, but the concentrative kind of compassion a bit more joyful. Regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing, may all beings be free from suffering. Okay, and now we're going to switch to the insight portion. We're going to reflect how to truly practice compassion, be free from suffering, which is to learn to detach from the clinging aggregates. So we're going to uncling ourselves by using impermanence to shake off this clinging. So anytime any sensation appears, we're just going to recite rising and passing. Okay, and if the joy of detachment start to disappear, instead of the strong neutral emotion from previously, this time around you should feel more blank or spacious. So the combination of this compassion and insight may lead one to this perception of infinite space. So regardless of how blank your experience, keep on reciting, rising and passing. And we move on to the third sublime state, which is appreciative joy. So we're going to rejoice with all beings. So using this lowest common denominator, every moment, every second, all beings will gain a new experience. So all beings will gain something. So every moment, anytime a sensation appears, we are going to rejoice with all beings. So every second, sensation appears, rejoice with all beings. Don't ever imagine any story. Okay, and if the conditions are right, keep on rejoicing all beings, and this appreciative joy may lead one to the third level of concentration, indicated by this emotion of happiness and a bit of equanimity. So it's not the party and celebrate kind of happiness, it's a calm kind of happiness. And regardless of what you experience, keep on rejoicing with all beings. Okay, and we're going to add some insight. We're going to reflect that all beings will eventually be separated from what they have achieved. So similarly, all these sensations don't stay with us 24/7. They come and go every moment. So every time any sensation appears, we're just going to recite rising and passing. And if the joy of detachment starts to disappear, this combination of appreciative joy and insight may lead one to this perception of infinite consciousness. So instead of the blank experience on previously, this time around it should feel like a sense of fullness. And regardless of what you experience, just keep on reciting, rising and passing. Then we switch to the fourth sublime state, which is equanimity. So in equanimity, we're going to reflect on karma. So all beings are subject to karma. We reap what we sow. And in this routine, again, there's no imagination. Do not speculate anything in the past. What have we done before, and so on. So we're not going to imagine anything. Just use the evidence, which are the elements appearing. So whatever element appear, we don't really have a choice. Sometimes they might be pleasant or unpleasant. So all this actually old karmas ripening. And if any pleasant sensation appear, that's good karmas ripening. If any unpleasant sensation appear, bad karmas ripening. And neutral sensation, neutral karmas ripening. So they have their origin story, but we don't need to know what's the origin story. We just need to make peace with these karmas. Anytime sensation appear, we just recite karmas ripening. Any element appear, karmas ripening. And if you can make peace with the karmas, more accepting karmas, then this recitation, karma's ripening, may lead one to experience this strong neutral emotion again, which is equanimity. So that's the factor for the 4th level of concentration. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reciting karma's ripening. Before we conclude the session, same gentle reminder: in all activities, whether you're standing, sitting, walking, or lying down, you can be mindful of the sublime states or mindful of impermanence. And with that, we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, and formally generate right thought. Alright, any problems or questions from anyone? If there's no issues, then we move on to the chanting. Dedication. Akasata ca Bhumata Devanaga Mahitika Punyang tang anumoditva chirang rakantu lokasasanang etavata ca amhehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe deva sabbe bhuta sabbe sata anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. So, dedication of merits to departed. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Aspiration. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu Yavani Bhanapatiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Can we bow 3 times to the Buddha? First bow. Second bow. And the third bow. Okay, so same announcement. Next week no class. We'll start the lesson the following week. Anything else, Terence?